Hello everybody, I hope that all of you are doing super well, and today we're going to start a new series in which I basically try to go through every single character in the roster of Fatal Fury, and I'm going to explain to you how to deal with them, how to play against them. And the first episode, of course, is going to be Kain. Kain is arguably one of the characters that is probably causing the most trouble in this game, arguably the best character in the game, and the only dedicated zoner. So I'm going to try to explain how to defeat Kain and how to deal with this character. Later on the video, I'm going to pause and explain specific sections of the fights, but I want to start with general advice, and everything that I'm going to say in this video is basically universal. You can apply it with any character. And the most relevant thing, or the most global thing that you have to take into account when you fight Kain is that you are never going to defeat Kain in the long range. You need to close the gap. If you are fighting Kain full screen, every time that you fight the character, you never close the range because you're too afraid of basically, maybe getting flash kick or getting hit by an EX fireball. You are going to lose because there's no character in the game that can play the full screen range better than Kain. There are some characters that can play, the zoning game as good as him or close to it, like other top tiers, like Hotaru, maybe Hoku Tomato because he has insane zoning and also the teleports. But in general, if you are in that long range, full screen range in which Kain excels, you are going to lose. So your first goal every time that you fight Kain should be to close the gap into the mid-range or the close range, depending on the strengths of your character that you're playing. And you can see specific examples of what I'm talking about in the first fight. At round start, I basically backdash and respect the fact that he can just EX fireball and I'm gonna eat free damage if I try to go in. So I just play it slow. Then I throw a fireball and he blocks it. And then I try to close the gap immediately. I'm lucky enough that he pressed a button and he gets counter hit by the crack shoot. In another situation, he could just, hold the flash kick and get a DP on me when I try to get that crack shoot in and stuff like that. But you should always try to close that gap and basically get into a space in between you and Kain in which Kain is a little more uncomfortable than you. It's as simple as that, because in the long range, he's always going to be more comfortable than you. And that is basically always the first step against Kain, the biggest challenge, closing the gap, okay? And the thing is, you need to do it safely, as safe as you can. I did a crack shoot that is technically not that safe because he could, for example, just stay there crouching and then I get a flash kick, he breaks the flash kick and gets a full BMB on me and then Oki, with an Oki setup. So it's not maybe the best idea by me, but when I did it, I was lucky enough that he tried to, I think, jump and press a button after the hit stun of my fireball, after he blocked it. And I got the counter hit. Of course, that is just the nuance of the gameplay. You don't always need to be extremely safe. If you have a good neutral skip tool like Terry does, you can do it. But you can also just, for example, dash block and keep it going until you're at a more comfortable range. You can also throw a fireball yourself and play it slow. Don't get too desperate when you fight Kain. If he's zoning you out, you need to close the gap, but do it without receiving that much damage or without getting punished, because that is probably more relevant than just closing the gap. Another huge piece of advice that you need to take into account when you fight Kain, and it's also universal, you can apply it with any character that you play, is related to your offense and strengths and his defense. Kain has access to reversals, he has the DP, but he has to do a charge motion to get one. He has a flash kick, not a regular DP like Guile on Street Fighter. And this can be both good and bad for Kain. Why can it be good? Because when Kain is crouch blocking, he's technically also charging the flash kick. So if Kain is good, if the Kain that you're fighting is a good player, he's going to flash kick your strings. Your offense is going to get interrupted by his defense if he basically executes it well. So you need to block in between your pressure when you fight Kain. You can't just, do an automatic offensive sequence and don't think about the gaps. You need to be conscious about the places in which the gaps are and see if the Kain is going to do a flash kick on them. Because if he does, you can punish him unless he does a breakable version of it, and then you just run your offense again, basically. So this is something that you need to have in mind when you fight Kain, because his flash kick is very good. He can get a full BMB out of it, and he can always charge it when he's crouch blocking. So it's a very, very good thing that he has, and you need to be conscious about it. You cannot just execute automatic offense against a good Kain. They are going to interrupt it. In this clip that I'm going to show, there's an example of what I'm saying. I get a couple of Okis, or basically knockdowns, after some neutral skips. Then I try to get the pressure going, and I block after a feint. Because there is a gap in between the two normals, the feint, and then the pressure, even the 1+. And he tried to flash kick. I don't get the big punish that I should because I screwed up my combo, that is my bad. But I should get a big punish, basically like half of his health, if I have that guess, and that's what you should do. If you know that he's going to try and flash kick in between your offense, block after the feints, block after the plus frames, and just get the punish. You know, don't get too stressed because he's basically getting a bunch of flash kicks on your offense. Just block and see if you can punish him. And then for advice number 3, also, you know, universal, applicable with any character that you like to play, is that you need to respect Kain's offense up close. I know that he's a zoner, I know that he's supposed to shine in the long range and maybe not be the best up close, but Kain is really damn good when he's up close, especially after an Oki situation. I've seen a ton of clips and replays of very good players getting smoked by Kain players up close because he can put an orb and then press a couple of buttons, then the orb explodes, then he gets plus frames, he can press again, or maybe he just puts the orb and blocks and you try to DP and you get punished, or he starts to basically do throw loops on you because he puts the orb, throws you because you're too afraid of the offense, and then again, orb, throw, and then orb, dash block, UDP, trying to stuff the throw, and you get punished. So you have to respect Kain's offense up close. He's one of the best characters when it comes to Oki situations and, you know, like Oki setups. You just cannot try to basically not respect his offense. It's just going to go bad, especially if you fight a good Kain. So if you see a Kain put in an orb and getting the things going, maybe respect it a little, okay, and try to see what you can do, but don't get too crazy because you're gonna get punished probably. And if you really want to understand Kain at a deeper level, I recommend you to go into Cloud 805 channel. He's basically a funny game player. He used to play Dragon Ball FighterZ, if I'm not mistaken. That made his channel big, and now he's playing some Fatal Fury, and he won a huge tournament for the game with Kain, and he basically analyzes the whole run. So it is very, very good if you want to learn more about Kain to go check his channel, and you can also see some crazy stuff that he does with the characters. Super good. So huge shout out to Cloud, and go ahead and check his channel and his last video in which he talks about his tournament run with Kain. And then my last piece of advice, even though it is a little more specific, still universal, and that is that even though Kain is very good in the long range because he's a zoner, but also has very good up close pressure, you know what else Kain is very good at? In jump-ins. Kain has very good jump-in normals. Like, his normals in the air are huge, they are gigantic. So you need to think about that also. Like, you cannot just fight a Kain and assume that they're never gonna jump in on you because they're playing a zoner. Like, it's an SNK game, so basically everyone is a rushdown character. So you need to worry about the jump-ins also. His normals in the air are monstrous, like they're very, very good. So you need to be ready to anti-air a Kain, even though it can sound a little weird because he maybe should be just controlling the screen. Good Kains are gonna try to get a good jump in on you and get a huge combo. So you need to be ready for some break TPs, you know, or basically some dodge attacks that can work as an anti-air, because you need to be ready for those jump ins. Kain has very good buttons. So in that sense, if you're not ready for that, you're gonna eat some big damage, you know, trying to basically be excessively patient and thinking that you're never gonna get rushed down on. So even though you're fighting Kain, worry about the jump-ins, okay? He has very good buttons. So that was the video. I hope that it was useful for you. I hope that now you can fight Kain and feel a little better when you fight him. And let me know in the comments what you think about Kain. Maybe he deserves some nerfs? I don't know. We still gotta wait and see you on the next video, guys.